Do you want me to intro this one too, since you don't really know what's going on?
I have no idea what's going on. I even got, hey guys, it's Supergirl season 6, episode 2. I jumped in at this episode to join in with Dylan for this week's discussion. I have so many questions. Dylan.
Oh, was that the beginning?
Oh.
I was not prepared.
Welcome to Absolutely Marvel in DC.
Hey, there we go. Now the music is kicking in. And there's our lower thirds. Very cool. So for context, I did the thing last week where I just talked about the season 6 episode 1, which I still didn't look this up because I'm lazy, but I'm 99% sure that was the finale of season 5 and this is the premiere of season 6.
I don't know if it was intended to be on a major cliffhanger because, so, little background, I watched Supergirl season 1, season 2, and a portion of 3. And I haven't watched it since. So You said that last week was the end of the season, so I jumped in at this episode. I was like, oh, well, this will be perfect. If it's like The Flash, they'll establish everything. No, she's in the Phantom Zone. Lex is on trial.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like end of season, they do big cliffhangers, like big status quo changes. But
there's way too much that started up at the beginning of this one.
I don't know. We could probably look it up, but regardless,
I feel like this, if anything, would have been it because Lex is now out.
The end.
Yeah, Lex is now out. Martian Manhunter has a new focus, and Supergirl and is that her father?
Yes.
Okay. And her father are like, oh, we found a way out.
I don't know.
I feel like this would have been the cliffhanger for the season.
Did you watch last week's episode?
No, because you said it was the end of the season. So I was like, this will be great.
I was like the ending of this episode felt like the ending of an episode where Kara and her dad were just like, well, we gotta capture a dude. But like the ending of last week's episode was, Kara was in the Phantom Zone. Lena like used the Nanu cherry on Lex and her mom. There was like a lot of stuff that was cliffhanger. So
I got a question about that. And for those who don't know, I'm jumping in. I will be here weekly, but I have questions because is this like mind control device called a new cherry?
Non-new cherry. It's like a Latin word or something for... She explained it in this episode, but it goes over my head every time.
Yeah, every time Lex said cherry, I'm like, did they have ice cream that mind controls? What are they... What?
Lena says it better than... her like weird... I don't know where that actor is from, or if she's, has some accent, or if... I don't know where... Her dialect is strange sometimes, and the way that she says non-new cherry sounds a lot better than when anyone else on the show says it. So, like, Lex said it a little hokier than she did. But, yeah. I
thought Lex died. That was like a whole thing in Crisis.
No, he wrote himself into the Book of Destiny or whatever.
But I thought that was going to move him to Superman. He's just on Supergirl still doing things?
Yeah, we have a Lex on Superman. We have like 4 of them over there. We get the one John Cryer's Lex Luthor on this show.
He's still so good. His entire argument with the trial, I was like, that is so Lex. And when he flipped out and they still got him off, I was like, that's so Lex.
Yeah. My only concern is that this show has a tendency to be the most political out of the CW shows.
Well, I figured, just from what I know about the CW shows, Supergirl's the one that always makes a big deal about the LGBTQ whole area, and so is Batwoman. So I assumed going into this was going to be a very political...
But I mean, I don't mean because LGBT... Not political. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying they're the ones that make the headlines. So I would assume if any of the shows was going, because they always seem to try to ride that headline of like, we are the ones that do all the foot forward political kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of like, because just like the Lex argument was all about him getting off and things like that. Like I get what was going on there. Yeah, I just assumed going into this, that's how this one was going to be.
Well, usually it's not like as in your face. Like obviously Lex is a stand-in for a lot of like white billionaires with a lot of power, but they just were directly parroting like Trump criticism coming from Lex's mouth. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it anymore. He's out.
But
I don't want to deal with it.
I will say, no, because if you think that this one was officially the start of the season, yeah, you're right. I'll say if this was a part of last season, that would have been...
Because that's his new direction. Like, Lex's whole thing now is like, wow, I can be honest and tell it like it is, which is just like, everyone said that, like, that's why I like Trump.
I didn't even look that up to Trump, because I don't follow, like, any of the real politics. Like,
yeah.
It's, I've always found this interesting because like you're seeing this as a Trump parody, basically, right? And I don't follow a lot of like the parodies and the political cartoons and stuff like that. So to me, it was just Lex is being a supervillain in a comic book. Like I legit did not make that connection. You saying it now, I totally go, yeah, that's a Trumpism right there.
Yeah, it's just Trump because like the it would have been fine if he said it in different words, but like he said, I tell it like it is, and then he was like, and when I start to tell it like it is long enough, then people will stop like trying to determine what it is, like what the truth actually is, and that's like, oh, okay, so you're just doing this now. So Lex Luthor is just, insert like whatever white powerful guy here, but like Trump, because
you're not wrong. And CW does use Batwoman and Supergirl as the shows that normally does parody a lot of real world stuff, and they want it. Like I've always said it before, the Dare to Defy message is they want to do what real world ism. They want to get inclusion. They want to get all. And I've always said if you're going to watch CW, you're going to get these things. I didn't even link those together, but now that you said it, 100%, yes, they are. They are like we've turned to Lex. In the defense of Lex and the comics, though, he did. In the comics, become president at one point. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like Lex, he's completely in character, and I'm not saying that he's written out of character. I'm just like them using that specific rhetoric, annoyed me because I know they're just gonna keep coding him that way. For the rest
I
of the
liked
season.
it though because I was like, wow, he is so evil. Like and he's not wrong.
It's true. I think so. Interestingly, tying back into season 5. So at the end of last episode, one of the things that Lena did was she used her mind control device on Lex and her mom.
Okay.
What is her? Lillian. And
yeah, Lex's mom was a character I wasn't expecting to be in there.
Yeah, she's been here for like 3 seasons now.
And then right after I stopped, basically I stopped watching right before Lex got on board. I did like the comment she made to Lex though about how like we're using our philanthropy to hide the fact that we're shitty people. Like, don't show them that we are shitty people.
And so the interesting thing is for a little recap of what Lena's like goal was, she kind of explains it in this episode, but with her device, with Nanu Cherry, her goal was to remove the ability of humans to like become violent and have violent impulses. And it backfired. She tested it in a prison, and all the prisoners like ended up going insane or something. I don't remember the specifics of it, but so she used that on Lex and Lillian, which is interesting to me because I don't know if they're either going to forget about that or Lex is not going to be able to physically hurt people this season, which could be interesting.
Especially if he's just using his way to like talk his way out of things now.
Right. Which I think they're setting up because his whole MO now is just that if I just tell it like it is and I just like speak from whatever heart I have, I can just use words to take over the world.
Well, going back to that, you are linking up the Trump. I think going forward, we'll see if they're really trying to do a Trump parody or if it's just like, we made Lex like just a big, we'll see.
It easily could just be that some writer just wanted to throw that in and they're not going to continue down that specific like line of dialogue. Like you could compare Lex to Trump in any like season, any comic, like any person of that like power you could compare him to. It was that specific line. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. You and I talked about this before, and I think it does relate to some of the other previous discussions we had, which we don't need to really go into here. But like, you're a little more politically aware than I am. I kind of like, when it comes to politics and all this other stuff, I just kind of avoid it. Just go, I don't care. I just don't care. But you're more politically aware, so I can see you making that link better. You know what I mean? Than me. Sure. Because I'm just watching it like it's Supergirl. And there's Lex Luthor, and
He's walking around.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about like what from your perspective of watching this without seeing the past 2 seasons? What
McGaughan
are you
joined the
confused
cast.
about?
Okay, McGaughan being on the cast threw me off. I was like, oh, we have another Martian? Okay.
Little warning there, just so it doesn't upset you as much as it upset me when they did it. You know how usually Miss Martian is like a niece or like a daughter to Martian Manhunter?
Right, normally like a niece, like not directly related though because she's a white Martian. That's the whole thing.
Right, but they're like, I'm just saying like in terms of the relationship they have, like Batman has Batgirl, usually they're like
he's
father,
very fatherly to her.
They're like smoochy in this show, which is like really uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, no, because they're definitely supposed to be more father-daughter.
Right. And I guess it's because...
Has she ever used the term daddy?
I certainly hope not. I guess it's because, and they kind of hit on this in this episode, that Martian Manhunter has kind of been the dad of this show. Like, he treats like everyone as his kids, but also like you can just not. I don't know, because for a while
I did, because she was approaching him like that, and she was very much like, Supergirl's your daughter, Supergirl's your daughter. So I could see that swap around, but no, I just thought it was like, Supergirl and I are your daughters. Like, nope. I didn't.
They had like a moment either last season or the season before where they had to like mind meld after knowing each other for a while, and they were like, you're gonna see everything about me, blah blah blah, and John was worried about that, and McGon was just like, don't worry about it, and then I think she kissed him, and then they mind melded, and we were like, oh no, this is not where I wanted this relationship to go.
I'm assuming that the girl in the hoodie that kind of showed up out of nowhere did Supergirl's sister become a superhero, like an Arrow style? Okay.
So this is stupid. I'll explain this real quick. Season 5.
Because she showed up in a costume, and I'm like, okay.
So that happened I think that happened last episode. No. She had her costume at the end of the last season. But so a big plot point of last season was that Andrea Rojas, who is running Catco now, she was making this tech, like VR tech, that people would put contact lenses on, and it would take them to like Second Life, basically, but way more powerful.
Okay.
And Alex went in there to try to save someone, and she made her avatar basically the Supergirl of that VR world. So she was Supergirl for like 2 episodes in VR, and that, like, when she got out, she was like, I want to do more. I want to be like a powerful lady.
Did she word it like that? I want to be a powerful lady.
Maybe. I would not be surprised.
On that show, I definitely would have seen that happening.
Right. In the comics, Jane Foster now has that like Norse thing that can transform into any weapon.
Yeah. Oh, she's Valkyrie. She's awesome.
Yeah. So Jean gave Alex that, basically, but it's Martian tech. And it's around her wrist. So she's called Sentinel now. They gave her, apparently, I don't know if this is a comic book thing, but Martian Manhunter said that he had a friend on Mars that was like a big fighter.
I don't know that much about Martian Manhunter to know his past.
Let us know if that's like a real thing. It reminds me of when Diggle
became a superhero, and they just were like, here's a helmet.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's the same thing. And they did that in this show too with James, where they were just like, "You're Guardian now." I was like, "Okay."
Is he gone?
Sure.
Because I didn't see him anywhere on the cast. Okay.
So Kelly, Alex's current girlfriend, who I think is a useless character just because she doesn't do anything, but she is James's sister. So they I guess James's actor wanted to leave or something. They wrote him off and they brought her in instead.
Okay. I feel like you're going to title this episode, We Discuss Episode 2, and Dylan Explains Supergirl to Betty.
The previous 2 seasons of nonsense in this show.
Okay, next question. Is Brainiac still around?
Yes.
And
he's in kind of a state right now because in the previous season, Lex Luthor manipulated him in a Lex way, like using logic. He was like, if you don't help me defeat Leviathan, who were like the gods, the big bads of last season, then the world will end. Okay. And Brainiac did calculations. He was like, oh darn, I guess that's true. And he shut off his emotions, which caused him to break up with Dreamer. And now he's real sad because
Dreamer's the other girl that the CW made headlines for hiring. I'm not going to go into why that we're talking years ago now. I think it was 2 years ago they did that. But I've never seen her before.
In the show?
Right, because I was off the show. I remember seeing the headlines that she had joined the show. First off, I was surprised. Very good actress. I was I kind of expected it to be the usual CW B-plot character, possibly a diversity hire. I didn't know what to expect going into that because I didn't watch when she joined. Great actress. I love what she did there. What is her whole deal? Because she seems far more important than I thought they were going to give her time for.
She's
like a Catco and a reporter and a superhero, and her powers were I was like, what powers are these?
This is also a character that I don't know if she has a comic book source or not.
She does not. No, she. Okay. So I remember when they first announced her, and there was the whole debate of are they just creating a character for her or not? And I looked it up, and Dreamer is some character that had a beat mention in some far off comic. So
ancient nothing character.
She exists, but that's the extent of it, kind of a thing.
So basically a new character.
Yeah.
Yeah, she showed up. She was a reporter, like a junior reporter at Catco.
Okay.
And she mentored under Kara for a while, and she kept like falling asleep at her desk. She had like basically narcolepsy. And then that led to her revealing that she's from this family of people who have powers, and they can dream things. They're basically like sages. They're psychics that can
Do they have the
dream things in all maybe. And they can, you know, like divine locations and her whole like arc. And it's still kind of going on, but because she's not at the forefront, it's been going on for a while, is that she doesn't fully understand how to interpret her dreams because they're not literal.
Well, they
Like,
made
she
that in
goes
this
to
one. She
sleep.
didn't know what was going
Yeah.
on there. And Brainiac was even like there in high school. What?
Yeah. So she sees stuff and it's very abstract, and she has to like determine what it means. And they kind of, if they need her to have a dream correctly and come to the conclusion very fast, then she's really good at her job. But if they want to drive out like the drama of her not understanding her powers, then she'll
Like this
forget
episode?
stuff. Right, exactly.
And that's why I was kind of confused because, like I said, she was really good at acting. I really expected her to just be the B. I mean, Flash has those. Chester, we just talked about how Chester now is coming to the forefront. I just thought she was one of those characters. Like she joined up and she's just in the background kind of a situation.
Yeah. She had an episode.
She was almost like the focal point for this whole episode because Kara was barely on it. I actually looked at the clock when Supergirl showed up and I was like, it's been 14 minutes in the epispisode. Like, when did the Supergirl show not become about Supergirl?
she's busy fighting Dementors.
I know. I was like, that's not the Phantom Zone.
That's something else. Yeah,
do you guys know what the Phantom Zone is?
Dreamer is a fun character. I think she's finally getting her due. She had like an episode dedicated to her like early on, but it was because she had first like gotten into the Dreamer suit and somehow she was outed as trans in like the community. So like an anti-trans like supervillain group like attacked her.
See, I didn't know if that was that was actually a plot point in the story.
It's part of her character,
or if it's just the actress was trans. I didn't like. I was like, all right. That's why I was like, I'm not really going to touch on it because I feel like this is something that people probably talked about 2 years ago. When she was getting hired.
It was, I think the first few episodes they didn't mention it, but there was I think that was the episode where it was like she got attacked and then she came out to like, all the Supergirl team. She's like, I'm trans and this is why these people hate me. And they're like, that sucks. It was a good episode. But yeah, I think she deserves more screen time. I think she could probably carry this show more so than like Alex or Magan could.
I mean, she was primarily in this episode. And that's why I was kind of surprised because this episode to me was about her and Brainiac, and like there was like a C plot of John with Martian Manhunter and Magan, which apparently they're dating.
I don't know I don't know if they've had the talk. I'm not sure their status.
But the A plot seemed to be Dreamer and Brainiac, which is why I had so many questions about like they weren't there when I was watching the show for 2 seasons, Right.
Yeah, you missed a lot.
And they don't show up in the Crises event. And because after the season 2, I primarily watched Supergirl for her Crisis appearances,
Right.
And I've always enjoyed the Supergirl show. It's just, and you'll know how this is, we only started this channel recently, which gave us a job reason to watch them all. Before that, it was like, all right, I got time for like 2. What do I want to watch?
Yeah.
And I was the Flash Black Lightning guy. I watched those 2. So
yeah. Supergirl is always, like, to me, it's not, I skipped season 1. I went back and watched a bit of it. Yeah, from what I've seen, it's not great.
Season 1, NBC quite obviously wanted to do Ally McBeal 2.0. By the way, Supergirl's here. And for me, it felt, and I would always tell people this, whenever you watch an episode of season 1 of Supergirl, half the episode is Supergirl and fun. The other half is just Ally McBeal. Because it almost felt to me like NBC was trying to do a very clear-cut line. Like they weren't trying to merge those 2 worlds. It was like, this is the reporter lawyer thing, and this is Supergirl. And so for me, when I watched season 1, it was very much like, oh, I could check out for half the episode because the plots didn't even line up. They were just superhero, not superhero. Yeah. Like
it definitely, like, aside from the characters carrying over and some very predictable, like, minor plot points, you really didn't need to watch season 1 to jump in at season 2. So it's very not like, I forget why I brought that up. But
sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
Oh, I remembered. Just to say, like, Supergirl has always kind of been the show that, like, it's not at the, like, top of my list. Like, I usually nowadays always save Flash for last, like, saving the best for last. Unless Legends is on, then I save that for last.
I'm
But
about to get into Legends finally.
it's so fun. But Supergirl is always like, I'll put it on, but yeah, half the time I'm just like, I don't care. I know where this is going, and it's
Yeah,
not
that's kind of how it was for me. That's why at season 3 I was just like, I really wasn't even into season 2 that heavily, so I'm just kind of
Yeah. They really need to, I think, and you would probably agree, especially as someone jumping in after missing 2 seasons, they need to pare their cast down. They need to trim the fat.
I felt like we had the problem. This is the last season, though, isn't it? I think the
Yes,
star
it
Melissa.
is.
I don't know how to say her last name ever, but
Benoist.
she's leaving. She's having a kid or something and wants to kind of step away from the whole project. She wants to work on the family.
Yeah. Which, by the way, some people, I guess, were mad at me because I said the show was canceled last week. And people were like, it's not canceled. She's just leaving, and they decided to end the show. It's like semantics. The show's ending, regardless. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think they experimented with Batwoman. Can we just replace the lead? And that's not going
That didn't work. Yeah. Boy, there's for sure an alternate universe where like Alex takes over as Supergirl and the show continues and then nobody watches it.
On the Batwoman note, they already renewed it for season 3 and then already canceled it post season 3. Like, why did you renew it for season 3?
I think they just wanted to squeeze one more season out of it so they could, wrap it up. And I don't know. I guess the ratings are probably higher than like other CW shows, but not obviously higher than, the rest of the DCW shows. Because
I was like, it's the lowest of the DC shows. I know that.
Yeah.
I know Supergirl's kind of maintained a good fan base this whole time.
Yeah, which, it's fair. There's a lot of people who watch the show, and it's got its good moments, but, like, especially last season, a lot of it was just like, man, what are you doing? It's just droning, like, weird decisions to make constantly. So, talking about some good stuff in the episode, I kind of like the Kara and the Phantom Zone stuff. I think it's interesting. I don't know what they're going to do. I was worried that, I mentioned this last week, I was worried that they were just going to rip her out of there, like, immediately. But they didn't. So that was fun.
I was going to say, I do want to stay real quick. I had a lot of questions. I actually really liked the episode. I liked the development of Dreamer, I guess is her name.
Yes.
Dreamer. I liked the Brainiac moments. I liked Martian Manhunter. I actually didn't have any real complaints about the episode. I really liked the Lex stuff. Seeing him be Lex in a courtroom and just get out. Yeah. If anything, I felt the weakest of the stuff was actually the Supergirl, which wasn't terrible, but it was just kind of like, Supergirl, you can't do it. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Watch me, Dad. Like,
I think the plot of that is interesting, just because I'm sure they're just gonna get out, but it's a cool environment, and I don't know where they're gonna go with that dad plot. He'll probably be evil or something. But
I feel like the plot's gonna be exactly what he said. He's defeated. He's not evil, he's defeated. Or he's not really her father. Did they establish he is in fact her father?
I mean, there's not like Maury like genetic test show.
No, but as they leave the Phantom Zone, you can find out that the real dad was killed by this guy. That kind of like,
I don't know, maybe.
Did they do any of those weird moments where he's like, I remember the story I read to you as a child? You know how shows do it.
Yeah. We'll get there. Overall, I like this episode too. Like the previous episode, I said I really didn't like it, and it was just because it was like the worst of Supergirl, where it was just writing so poor and like so all over the place that I couldn't excuse it. But this episode, like, it had some of that because the show always does, but it got back to the point that I like watching Supergirl at, where I can just kind of shut my brain off and just let the like fun images enter my brain.
I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I really did kind of think I was going to go into it and be like, well, this will be the one I watch every week if I have time.
Right.
Like.
I hope they can end the show on on a bang. I don't know what they're gonna do, like what their main plot is gonna be. I'm worried because right now it looks like Lex is just the villain again, which he has been for a while in this show.
Yeah, but if you're gonna wrap the show up, why not go out with a bang with the big villain before you move him over to the other show?
Yeah, if he is. Maybe they'll kill him, or maybe he'll be president, and that'll be the status quo change that this show ends on for the rest of the
and everyone else has to deal with it. Could you imagine, over in The Flash, Barry's like, yeah, President Lex put out outlawed and metahumans.
That'd be great. I'd watch that. Like, I complained a lot about like the Trump parallel, but Lex Luthor being president affecting like the rest of the Arrowverse, that sounds fun. I'll take it.
What? Do you think they call him President Lex or President Luthor?
President Luthor. I don't think they call him President. That'd be weird. President Donald.
President Donald Luther. He changed his name just to really get that parallel going for you.
Changed his name.
You know what? They changed his
horrible.
name because they're like, some of you figured it out, but idiots like Betty didn't. So we need to make it more obvious.
We like 4 years too late. We really need to like make this known.
Donald Trump is Lex Luthor.
Whoa. All right. Well, I think we both enjoyed this episode. I don't think we have much else to say. So go ahead and wrap it up here.
I just, other than confusing, I enjoyed it. It's just
Yeah.
Luckily, I got a friend like you to tell me who everyone is.
I think that's something cool about the CW shows is you can kind of just jump in and like, you'll be a little confused, but as long as they're written well and you can just kind of have fun with them. But anyway,
well, that was the problem I had. I debated kind of rewatching the last season at least to get caught up.
Yeah.
Since it was post-crisis. But I was like, but that also means I got to watch all the bad episodes.
Right.
Like,
which is most of them last season.
That would have been terrible. I come into this one like, Dylan, I'm going insane. I watched all of
sucks.
All right. Well, thank you for your recap, Dylan.
Yes, of course. Anytime. Hopefully the show gets better or like continues to go down this line. But we'll see. Stay tuned next week. I think the show's going to go back on hiatus soon.
All
but
of them
we'll
are.
be
What
here
the heck?
when I don't know. It's their like mid-season break, I guess. But we'll be back to cover it right here at Absolutely Marvel in DC. I'm Dylan, that's Benny. Check us out next week. More discussions.
I'm a Muppet!